Now, the Common Speaker has revealed that he was the person who contacted police that prompted them to then arrest Peter Mandelson. Now, Emily Maitlis joins me to talk about this, co-host of Global's podcast, The News Agents. Now, I was listening yesterday after work, like the loyal listener I am, Emily, to The News Agents, and you were covering this story very early on, weren't you? That Peter Mandelson appeared to be almost spinning a story around why he was arrested at all, but a lot more has emerged, hasn't it?
We just didn't know what had happened.
Yeah.
I was contacted by somebody in the industry in the morning who sent me verbatim the message that Peter Mandelson had left on their phone, and this person said it had come in about 4 a.m, i.e. a couple of hours after he'd been released from police custody from that interview that he did. And the message that he had sent made very clear that he had understood there had been this sort of deal or informal understanding with the police that he would go involuntarily for police questioning early March, i.e. next week.
And not face arrest, therefore. Yeah.
Well, not be taken from his house in the way that he was on Monday evening, with the plainclothes police officers wearing the body cams and the unmarked police car. And there was a sense in the tone of that message that he found the whole thing ridiculous. That he said the idea that I was a flight risk, that I had to be wheeled into this police station because I was about to bolt it and go to the British Virgin Islands was, his words, a complete fiction. And he went on to name the members of his family and his dog and the reasons why, of course, he wouldn't be about to leave. This morning, we got very, very firm pushback from the Lord Speaker. This was the person that Peter Mandelson had collared in his message saying, we think it came from the Lord Speaker who thought I was a flight risk. And the Lord Speaker, the Speaker of the House of Lords, vehemently denied it to us and said, why on earth, is my name out there? And just an hour or so later, Lindsay Hoyle, the Commons Speaker, confirmed it was him. The plot thickens because Lindsay Hoyle was in the British Virgin Islands just last week for half-term. February recess, it's a parliamentary recess, and he'd gone on official business. I mean, it's a pretty nice place to go for a rainy February half-term, but there you go. He went, and we've looked at the website, and it confirms exactly all the people that he was meeting with, members of the administration, members of the British Virgin Islands government, the Attorney General as well. It is quite possible that amongst those names there is the source, but he confirmed in a statement to MPs just before Prime Minister's questions that it was him that had tipped off the Metropolitan Police because he felt he was duty-bound to do so.
So the working theory is that when he was in the Virgin Islands, somebody there
told him,
said, I have it on good authority that Peter Mandelson is coming here.
Yeah, and we don't know what that authority looks like. We don't know whether it was a hunch.
Or whether it was just gossip.
Whether it was gossip or whether they had a piece of written evidence that suggested he was looking to transfer, his domain there. This is what I'm going to say. The plot thickens, but we are none the wiser. But I guess Peter Mandelson was correct in thinking that somebody had tipped off the police, because we've now had that as confirmation from Lindsay Hoyle. And I guess there will be a whole different sort of rabbit trail going off now, looking at who Lindsay Hoyle was speaking to, why he was in the British Virgin Islands, who was paying for that particular trip, and whether it was correct. We don't know the status of Peter Mandelson's sort of travel possibility, whether, he was told not to travel before he was being interviewed by police. Presumably, he still had his own passport, otherwise they wouldn't have worried about him. But, it's a very murky story. And once again, it sort of takes you into the heart of the Epstein files, which is all this stuff is going on that most people are not part of. It's not transparent. It's not clear. We don't get special treatment if we're about to be arrested. I don't think, it'd be very unusual to have any kind of deal, informal or otherwise, saying, oh, can you come in next week? And so I think...
I don't know how unusual that is. I genuinely have no idea.
No, I suppose I don't.
I just wonder whether...
Maybe if you're in public office, you do get that tip-off. I don't know, but I'm just imagining if you're sort of a regular member of the public, this all sounds really incredibly weird.
Hello, officer, I'll come in when it suits me kind of thing.
Sort of. Yeah. But also you get the sense of people, at the centre, certainly Peter Mandelson still trying to control the narrative of how the story is told. And I heard from another person in the industry, senior person in the industry, who also got that message. They told me an hour earlier, about 3 a.m.
And I think I'm right in saying that Lindsay Hoyle said I had to act. It was my responsibility to act on the information I'd been given. Yeah.
I mean, look, I can see both things being true, right? If Lindsay Hoyle had had this as a tip-off from somebody that he trusted or somebody who was hosting him, he felt he had to tell the Met Police. The Met Police, we understand, then contacted the British Virgin Islands source before making that arrest. I don't know where this leaves us, except to say this is the day before a by-election that has been fought in Gorton and Denton, where Labour is sort of fighting for its political, life belt there, against the Greens, against reform, and we're all talking about this completely different story now, which is murky in the extreme, really, about who was about to do what and what was the order of events and how we've been told by sort of emerging 3 a.m. text messages.
From the Speaker. Well, and how this now involves the Speaker of the House of Commons, to be specific, yeah. Thank you very much, Emily, host of the News Agents podcast. Don't forget the latest episode drops at 5. Peter Mandelson, of course, denies any wrongdoing. For a list of all candidates in the Gorton and Denton by-election, you can find those at the LBC app and the LBC website.